Howdy, welcome to the first episode of The Cool Garage. Please excuse the video, it's not going to be the best quality. I'm giving it my best shot here, but I want to introduce you to something quickly. These are quick ties. They're made for when your fence is rotted out at the bottom. That was driven in concrete. That's a treated 4x4, and I'm going to show you these a little bit later, because I'm using them for something else, but this is what they're made for. You basically disassemble, take off this side, drive these two posts into the ground. Let's see if you can see there's a 1/2-inch bolt that goes through there, and of course some screws hook onto it. You want to level the post up the best you can, put it back in, and you can see, see if I get this up here where I get some leverage. It makes it pretty solid. I use these across here. It's better, I thought, than digging up the post, pulling out the concrete, putting a new one into it. These posts have lasted me over 20 years in here, and the wood is actually good, but not below there. So that's what these are for. So in a second, I'm going to show you another use for these things. Thanks. So what I did is I measured from the end here. Put this up here for a minute. From this end here, which is here, 3 1/4 inches up, and cut across here, or put a line here. That gives me, if you look at the side, a little extra strength along the side. And then this dimension from here to this end is 4 3/4 inches. So if you come up at, put this on the end, come up at 4 3/4 inches, just zip that off to begin with, you'll have your total length. Then of course you'll have to do a rough cut, cut this one, do a rough cut here, come up this way with a rough cut, and then you can finish it off with like a flap disc or something. Actually, I took an angle grinder and cut, you can probably see it on there, cut that lip off as it, you can see it kind of rounds in here. I just put up against there and just zip that right off on the side I want. And of course, you do the opposite on the other side. This one hasn't been flap disced at all. You can see it's still got some lot of rough stuff on here. That gets that cut. Then, the way it works is, you have this inside of your post, kind of like that. And of course, the other one will be on this side, with your post in the center. Captured. Let me just see if I can grab it. Okay, so this is the post. In this case, it would be going on that post like this. Okay, but I'm going to turn this to make it a little easier. And this is my concrete sitting in front. I'll take my piece, put it down flush, line it up, and what I want to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit so it fits better, and probably put a little notch right here, but weld along here, and this is set long enough so this could be bent behind there, so that you can see it can weld behind there to make it a little bit stronger. This piece here will go on top of this on the other side, same orientations. Again, it'll fit nice and snug against there. This will be welded. Again, that's folded. And these two pieces will sit overlapped on top of each other. At some point, I'll drill a hole here through both pieces, mark it in the concrete, come up, drill a hole through this concrete to the size of my anchor bolt, probably about 3/8, and then make this hole here through both of these 3/8. This will go on. They also have a nice 1/2-inch bolt slot. You put a 1/2-inch bolt through there, lock these together, as well as a bunch of screws on here. Get that, anchor this into the concrete, and that should make a pretty rigid post. It's a piece of cake. Okay, I'm just going to recap. I have here a fence post that's backed up onto a patio, and nowhere near is it connected. In fact, I could just pick it up. So, not finding anything, I decided to have to make something, so I picked up some of these EZ-Mender from Simpson Strong Ties fence post menders from Home Depot. They seem to have the cheapest price on them. And obviously you need 2 per post. So to the left and the right are what they look like after I modified them. So on both of them, you have to go from here down 10 inches and cut it. It just comes right above that. Clean up the edges. These are powder coated, so I had to use a flap disc to take all that off, and I put some Eastwood etching primer on it, weld-through etching primer. I did that for both. On the bottom, you can see they're left and right. Actually, this would be kind of like this, and this one would be just a mirror opposite. So from here up is 8 inches. Okay. I'll just put this on an angle so you can see. From here to this end is 8 inches. From here to here is 3 1/4 inches. And on the inside, you have to cut the rounded angle off so that you have a flat side. Again, powder coated, flap disc it, get all the powder coating off in the welding areas, covered with the Eastwood non-etching primer. So they go like this. All right. I also have a 4 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch bolt, 2 washers and a nut. They're going to go through these holes. So the way these ideally go on is you're going to take this with the etch primer side down and put it on one side. Take the other one, etch side down, put on the other side. Now, my thought is the first thing to do is to square up the post. Put that 1/2 inch hole in there so it goes through and get that bolt in there along with a couple screws, or yeah, a couple deck screws. Then, taking this, laying it flat, would go on one side. The other one, sure that won't stay, goes on this side. And you can see they line up pretty decent. So the idea is, if when this is mounted and this post is square, put a couple tack welds here, here. You do one side at a time. Obviously you want to do the bottom one first. So a couple tack welds on this side, and then like one here. And then this one on top, do the same thing, couple tack welds and one front. And then while it's still there and lined up, I'm planning on drilling like an 1/8 inch pilot hole through both of these and making a mark in the concrete. I have 3/8 inch diameter concrete anchors from Hilti that you pound in, and then they've got the bolt coming up, you put the nut and tighten it. When these are off, when it's spot welded on, you pull this off, it comes off as unit, take it on the welding table and weld it all the way around. Then my thought is to take it in the basement, clamp it in the vise. Well, here, I'll show it this way. Clamp this in the vise and hammer this edge around here and weld it there as well. So these are going to be solid. Open these up to 3/8. Paint these. I got some semi-gloss Eastwood chassis black to spray it over them once they're all welded and painted and the hole, or welded and the holes are drilled in. The chassis black is a little more durable. Ideally, the 2K paint would be better because it's an epoxy base. The best solution would be to blast it and powder coat it. However, I'm not set up for that. Once that's in, put it back into place. Put the 1/2 inch bolt through. Slip it over the 3/8 stud. Get all the screws in there. Tighten it down. This should be nice and level and solid as a rock. That's all I have for the moment. Thanks. Okay, so it's obviously been a little while, but this is kind of like what it looks like when you have it fully assembled onto the post. This post is extremely solid, but this alone didn't do it. I should have known better. This little point right here, this is too large of a leverage arm just to be held by that point. So I made something different. For this particular one, because it was next to the house, I took a 1/8" plate, bent it to a 90, mounted it to the house with 2 anchors, mounted it on here, and this post is like a rock. That's perfect. The reason why I did this, if I didn't point out sooner, is most all this post was here before the concrete, so they just put the board behind there. So it rotted off there, but there's no real good way to anchor this that I found. However, I modified this post, or this, to use some of the remaining materials to look like this. I just cut the bracket. It was already curved, welded it down the side and across the bottom, anchored it, and doing that made this thing really, really, really solid. So that's a modification for there, if you can't do the post on the side. My next video I have to put a gate here, and I've got to have the posts entirely on here, 2 posts. They do make brackets for it. They're typically about 1/8 gauge maybe, and they're probably close to $40 a piece. Now, I have some 1/4" plate that I've come up with a template, and I'm going to design, do that, and I'll show you that in the next video. But for now, at least I wanted to give you an idea. These are just deck screws. There's better screws to use than this, and I'll show you those as well that I recommend. Thanks again, and I hope you got something out of this. One quick final addendum. This is what the company that makes the strong ties recommends you use. So I bought a box of these, and this is what I'm going to be using from now on. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Thanks. I hope you got something out of this video. Stay tuned for the next one. I hope you get something out of that. The point is to have fun and maybe learn something. Thanks. Have a great day.